So today we're going to take a quick first look at the Onewind Penumbra Hammock hot tent. This is a new hot tent from Onewind. Kind of competes with the One Tigress, Tegemin, and the Rock Damas is a more direct competitor. So it's going to be my first time setting it up, trying it out here in the yard. I've already taken it out of the box, so this won't be an unboxing. There's a few other of those on YouTube already. I've already unrolled it and messed with it a little bit, but I got a better setup now. So I got my continuous ridge line set up here with a couple prussics and soft shackles. So I'm going to string it up on that, and I have a couple poles here too. The span here in the backyard is pretty far, so if I need to, I have a couple poles to lift it up if it's not high enough. But I'll go ahead and get this stretched out on the ridge line and then start staking it out. Okay, so with this big span here, that's about a 40-foot continuous ridge line, and I'm using just about all of it. Set up in the woods or in the campground, you wouldn't normally span that far, but it's dipping down a little bit too much, so I got a couple just cheap generic adjustable tent poles from Amazon that I use with other tarps. So that's just holding it up, and I'm just gonna try to get it staked out. I might stake the bottom of the door first, and then do the four corners. Okay, so it comes with several of these elastic loop with the line lock type adjusters. I'm not totally sure how you're supposed to set them up. There aren't any instructions on that. So I just kind of have it looped through and then hooked on itself, and then I'll pull the guy line out for now, just to kind of get it set up for the first time. And there it is, all set up. Probably not the best pitch. It's the first time I've done it. So I'm a little high off the ground in a couple places. I did lower down those poles all the way down, so they look like they're actually just about the perfect height. which will be handy if I ever want to set this up in a campground where there aren't any trees. So I'll go ahead and open it up and take a step inside. So take a step inside. This is it. Pretty big. I'll go grab a tape measure so we can actually measure how much room I really have in here. The idea, or the goal, hopefully, is to have one hammock hanging and then 2 kids on the ground, or potentially all 3 of us on the ground if it'll work. I'll have to go grab some props and try it out. As far as the build quality goes, seems pretty nice. All the seams you can kind of see here, all the seams are taped, including around this pull out here, all along here on the doors, in the ridge line. But the only thing that I can really see is a little bit of discoloration along the top, which is, I think, is where it was folded for transport. I don't feel any difference there, so I'm thinking it was just the way it was folded, and maybe the dye when it was fresh, maybe rubbed on its own or something. Let's see, that might, you can't see it from the outside, just the inside. So it's not too big of a deal. Other than that, like I said, build quality seems pretty stout. Got a little hook up here, right in the center. Yeah, and you can tell they really don't want this to leak. It's coming across in the camera, but they got all kinds of seam tape all around that hook right there in the center. So at least shows that they at least put an effort into it to try to make sure it doesn't leak. And then right here is the flap for either a stove jack or a clear window. I don't have a stove yet, so I'm just going to put the window on there first. And there we go. On a nice sunny day like today, that'll bring in a little bit of fresh, a little bit of sunlight so we can see what's inside. And then it just pulls right off, and we can throw the stove jack on there when we get a stove in there. So one of the things that makes this unique is it's a hammock hot tent. So they give you this couple of these little micro carabiners, and you notice these top 2 zippers. One of them has a little piece of elastic. You clip that together, so that way when your hammock's in here, the strap moves up and down as you sleep. You get in and out of it. It can move up, and it keeps it closed for the most part. Keep your heat in. There's another zipper on down at the bottom to get into the door. This hammock here is a DIY. It's just shy of 12 feet. And so, as you can see, there's plenty of room inside the tarp here that the suspension hangs inside to keep everything nice and dry. That's actually one of the main things that led me to this one versus the one Tigris Rock Damas. That one's a lot shorter. It's about a foot or 2 shorter, and I wasn't sure if my longer hammock here would fit in it. But I do like that there's plenty of room for that in here. So just some quick measurements here with it all set up. So with tape measure there, so my width comes in at just about exactly 8 feet wide. And then my length comes in about 9 feet, roughly to where the door is, maybe about 9.5 to where the doors come in and close. And then height is going to vary a little bit, but going up here on the end, I got just about 6 feet right at the zipper. And then it does, depending on how you have it suspended up there, it does dip down a little bit. I'm about 5'7" or so, and I can kind of walk under. It's kind of rubbing on my head right now. So taking a look inside here, you can see we got quite a bit of room. Normal camping chair. I have a full-size cot, adult size, in here. We'll press all the way up against this end for now. I don't have a stove yet, as I mentioned earlier, but I did pick up this ammo box at the surplus store with the intentions of maybe making a stove out of that. So that's kind of sitting in for that, right about where it would be going. Now, the only thing I'm not totally sure about is I have 2 kids, and I wanted to be able to fit the hammock and both kids, but that's going to be a little tight. What I might be able to do is fit a second cot sideways, right there up against the door, and then just have my feet hanging up over top of them. I think that would work okay, and that would leave the other side completely open by the stove. The other option is I could probably squeeze both of them on the ground here on this side if we didn't take the cot. I do have a sleeping pad, which I might go grab just to lay that down, just so we can see that for comparison. So there you can see one of the pads on the ground. I don't think I'd be able to fit a second one completely off to the side of the hammock, but I think it would be okay. I could always run another one sideways, like I mentioned before, up at that end of the tent. I don't want to put them completely underneath me, just because you never know. Probably wouldn't be good for me for the hammock to break and fall right on top of one of them in the middle of the night, but a little bit over time wouldn't be a big deal. I got an air mattress, double air mattress, that probably could fit down there too for car camping. But overall, I think it'll probably work out pretty good for my needs. So what I'm thinking for my personal setup, where it's me and my 2 sons, for car camping, we can put one cot off to the side here, and then another cot would fit perfectly sideways right over there. Or we could do the same orientation with the mat. Then if I had the hammock up this way, that would be fine. Or if we're wanting to go on the ground, we probably could even squeeze another mat or cot right here in the middle, and then turn the stove sideways over on this side, and still have plenty of room. So one of the nice things about this style of tent is during the day, when you don't necessarily need your hammock, and you want more room to sit in the chair, cook on your wood stove or anything, you can actually come up to this one end, just pull your hammock down. You can even leave your underquilt and everything hanging on there, bring it over to this end, tie it up, let it lay on the ground, or bring another pad or mat or something, set down on the ground to keep it clean. It's out of the way. You got all this room for activities. It's time to settle in for the night. Bring it right back over. Hang it right back up. And right back into sleeping mode. So I'm thinking about one of the only real cons I can think of right now, other than it being maybe just a little tight for the 3 of us, is there's no sort of a vents or anything up top here. The Onewind Rockdamus has a vent on either end up here in the corners to help with airflow and humidity and moisture in the air. So that's something we'd have to keep an eye on. If it's not raining and not too bad, especially if we're not running the stove, probably could even keep this off a little bit, just keep a little better airflow. But that's about it. Other than that, once you get a good ridge line up, it's pretty easy to set up. Pretty quick, and I think it'll work out well. So yeah, that's a quick look at the Onewind Penumbra hammock hot tent. Overall, I think it's pretty good, especially for the price. Normal, I think MSRP is about $200. I got it on sale for 15% off on Amazon, so about $170 or so. And then I still need to get a stove for it, or get one built. But overall, it's pretty good.